everybody, welcome to Board Online, Board Offline. I'm Baker, your host as usual, and today we're going to bring you the review of Dead of Winter before doing the gameplay. I know I haven't gotten the gameplay up yet. My schedule just hasn't quite worked out. Plus, to be perfectly honest, I've been playing a lot of Thunderstone Advance, so haven't gotten Dead of Winter to the table for the gameplay video yet. We are going to do that. It's going to come out after the review. So, be sure to be looking for that. And like I said before in a previous video, I believe in the Thunderstone Advance unboxing, I'm actually going to be playing a two-player variant called Prisoner's Dilemma, which you can find on Board Game Geek, and it is actually, I don't know if it's officially sanctioned by Plaid Hat Games, but it was designed in part or primarily by John Gilmore, which is one of the designers of Dead of Winter. So be sure to look for that in the upcoming gameplay video. So let's get right into our review of Dead of Winter. First, before I get into my rubric, I'm going to tell you some pros and cons with the game. Some of the things that I really like about the game is the artwork is excellent. I really like the artwork a lot. I will say that some of the artwork for the locations is, at first glance, very heavily. It almost appears initially as monotone because it's so heavily covered in snow, got that kind of blue and white tone to it. But when you really look at it and really start paying attention to it, it's actually got some really great artwork underneath that blizzard kind of cover that you see there. The artwork for the standees is fantastic, top notch. Each standee is very distinctive. Each character is very distinctive. The artwork for the zombies is also great, even though there's only 3 types of zombies, or 3 models, I guess you could say, 3 pieces of art for the zombies. The artwork that's there is still fantastic. Speaking of the cardboard standees, I think that was a really good choice for the game. I love miniatures. You know, whenever I get miniatures for my games, I like to paint them. I'm by no means an artist, but I still do like to throw some paint on my standees. However, or on my miniatures. However, with this game, I think that not having 30-something different plastic miniatures makes it easier to tell them apart. Having them already on the standees, it's not like these aren't like Candyland, real thin cardboard standees. These are really thick cardboard. They are very durable. They look great. And they're very distinctive. Another great part of the game is the crossroad cards, of course. That's one of the main things this game brings that other games don't. And they really add, yes, some randomness, but also some very interesting and, in some cases, provocative choices that really are going to provoke a lot of discussion among the group sometimes. And occasionally you get one where it actually has an emotional impact on you, the choices available. So some things that I didn't like about the game, a few cons. I think that the cardboard standees fall into this category as well because I do like miniatures so much. Even though I completely understand why the miniatures aren't in the game, whether it be from cost or from the ability to differentiate among the miniatures, it still was. I guess I just think about how cool miniatures could be with all these different characters, and so it kind of makes me wish they were there, but I completely understand it. It's just a minor, I guess more of a wish list thing for me that to have miniatures instead, but again, it's completely understandable. I mentioned already there's only 3 zombie types. That's definitely a negative for me because I feel like you've already got all these standees in the game. Why are you going to only have 3 pieces of art for the zombies? I don't think you need completely different artwork for each zombie. You certainly don't need each zombie to be distinctive the way you do the characters, the survivors. But having only 3 feels a little bit on the low end. Maybe get 2 extra pieces of art for the zombies there, and bump it up to 5. I don't know. That just seemed a little bit on the low end. I would prefer to see a couple extra versions of zombies in the game. The crisis cards are probably my biggest negative. Not their function in and of itself, but because of how repetitive they are. and how little variety. It's always the same as far as the objective of the crisis. If it's a food crisis, then you need this number of food equal to the number of non-exiled survivors. If it's medicine, the number of medicine equal to the number of non-exiled survivors, et cetera, et cetera. And while the failure does vary a good bit, not enough to really where you remember, oh, this is the raid, or oh, this is the whatever the other ones are. So they just felt really repetitive. Though I think that there is certainly opportunity to make the crisis cards more distinctive and more interesting in future expansions. I wish that had happened in the base game. And then crossroad cards from game to game can become repetitive if you don't remove crossroad cards from the game as they've been used. Because there's certain ones that will trigger almost every time they're pulled. And there's other ones that will almost never trigger. So unless you start removing some crossroad cards from the deck as you use them, and say have a pile of crossroad cards where you keep all of them that you've used in previous games, and when that pile gets to a certain amount, start working them back into the main crossroad deck. If you don't do that, then you're going to see the same crossroads over and over again, and there's going to be a lot of them in the deck that just never ever get used. So with all that being said, let's get down into my rubric. So with originality for this game, yes, it is a zombie game, but as so many people have said before me, it's not about the zombies. This is about the player interactions. This is about the survivors. The fact that if you want to kill a zombie, that zombie is dead, period, to me is an indicator of the mindset of this game, that it's not about killing zombies, except for that one objective, where the one main objective where the whole point is to kill zombies because you got to get the samples. We need more samples. That's what it's called. Other than that, this game's not about killing zombies. This game is about interacting with the players. It's about trying to figure out who the traitor is, if there is a traitor. So with that all in mind, I gave this a 1.75 out of 2 for originality. The 0.25 it's missing is because it is zombies. I really look forward to future Crossroad games because I think that they can really have a good shot of getting that 2.0 out of 2 for originality. For aesthetics, I gave this, and for me, aesthetics is talking about just the overall look of the game, not getting into component quality. So for aesthetics, I gave this game a 2.75 out of 3. I love the way this game looks. I love the way the survivors look. I love the way the zombies look. The locations are great. When you go to the grocery store and you start going through the deck at the grocery store, it feels like you're at a grocery store. The things you find there are things you would expect to find at a grocery store. Same with the gas station, the police station. These areas or these parts of the game look and feel like what they're supposed to look and feel like. For component quality, I gave this game a 3.75 out of 4. Okay, the cardboard from almost all the game is great quality. The main colony board is fantastic. The standee cardboard quality is fantastic. All the little chits, the cardboard they made of is great. It feels very durable. It doesn't feel like you're gonna, tear them up or anything like that. The one gripe I have about component quality, which is where it lost that quarter of a point, is with the non-colony locations. They are just real flimsy. They're nothing like the main board. I understand completely why you need to have the colony location separated from the main board so you don't have this ginormous board taking up a table. It makes it easier to use various sizes of tables. It also makes it easier to bring in other locations in future expansions. However, I don't see any reason why you couldn't have made them the same quality of board that the main colony board was. So that's where it lost the quarter of a point there. Still 3.75 out of 4. Thrill of the game, I gave this one full marks. 3 out of 3. I think that when you're playing this game, the entire time there is high tension, wondering what everybody's goal is, wondering what they're trying to do. Are they the traitor? Are they not the traitor, but they have a secret objective that's going to be contrary to yours, where you're both maybe trying to get the same thing? On top of that, you got to worry about the waste of the colony, the zombies coming into the colony. You got to worry about zombies out at other locations, overruns. Do I use fuel when I move to a location, or do I risk the exposure die? It's only 1 out of 12, but it just feels like that's such a danger, and it really is, because if you go to a location and you roll that tooth, you're taking everybody down with you at that location potentially. So there's so much tension and stress and fun inside this game. Full marks, 3 out of 3 for thrill factor. And finally, for gameplay, 4.75 out of 5. It lost a little bit for the repetitiveness of the crisis deck, and for having to kind of pull, if you want to make the crossroads deck more unique each time you got to pull cards out, so you kind of got to mess with it a little bit to get some of that repetitiveness out of the game. And then also, the game is advertised as a 2 to 5 player game. However, it's really not a 2-player game. To play 2 players, you either have to use a variant that's included in the rulebook that is really not very good, or use the Prisoner's Dilemma variant, which you have to search out on BGG to find that. So for that reason, basically it's a 3 to 5 player game, but because it's advertised as a 2 to 5, I've got to knock it for the gameplay in the 2-player version, and for the repetitiveness of the crossroad cards and the crisis cards. Still very good score, though, 4.75 out of 5 for gameplay. And so what that means is we got a total score of 94.1%. That's going to put it at the top of my list now, above Pandemic in the lab, as my favorite reviewed game so far. So I hope you enjoyed the review. If you don't have Dead of Winter, if you haven't played it yet, this game is fantastic. You need to get a copy of it. Don't view it as another zombie game. View it as something entirely different. Just set in a zombie apocalypse, but there's so much more to it than that. The zombies really do take a back seat to everything else going on in the game. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up in the comments section below. If you have any questions or comments, leave them in the comments section below. If you like my channel, please subscribe. Look me up on BGG. Be sure to watch for that gameplay video coming up in the near future. And until next time, if you're bored online, board offline.